How far back do you want to go?
No, I don't, sorry. Here.
Motherfucker, right? I got our own problem.
If sometimes you see
Hello and good evening. You live on Radio Guy online, and this is the news at 6. My name is Miriam Ashebia Kobla. I'm here with
Efias Miniwa.
And now we'll be looking at stories that is making the headlines. That is Gabi threatens MP with legal suit after a Japan royalties expose.
And flag bearer for the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has thrown a challenge to the Akufo-Addo's government.
And in health, the Ghana Health Service has released guidelines for coronavirus safety protocols ahead of the possible resumption of the international air travel soon.
And the Director General of the Ghana Health Service has dismissed claims that government has reduced the testing for coronavirus.
And now to our top stories.
Welcome back. Now to our first story. Flag bearer for the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has thrown a challenge to his successor for a debate on the performance record for their respective governments, especially on infrastructure development. This comes after the data-driven presentation yesterday by the Vice President, Dr. Maudu Baumia, where he argued that Akufo-Addo's administration had undertaken infrastructural projects in excess of 17,000. According to him, the current level of development in the sector is better than what was provided by the opposition NDC during its 8 years in office. Meanwhile, addressing residents in the Ketu South constituency yesterday as part of his tour of the Volta region, the former president expressed his readiness to face off against Akufo-Addo on the achievement in the sector. Government during its town hall meeting said it had initiated the 17,334 infrastructural projects since 2017.
Japan royalties. Now pair the arguments of the Richard Champon. The Japan royalties, which was formerly Asasi royalties, belongs to Ochridakun, since he has shares in the new established Asasi Radio. Now, while denying the allegations leveled at him, in his post today, he insisted that an MP has falsely accused him of being a beneficial owner of Japan royalties, formerly Asasi royalties, an entity registered both here in Ghana and Jersey, a British dependent, now for the purposes of an anticipated listing on the London Stock Exchange. Though the minority claims the ownership of the company has been shrouded in secrecy, the majority insists otherwise. According to Gabi Ochridakun, the Japan royalties is 100% owned by a body set up by an Act of Parliament and not in any way related to his line of business. Now moving on, MP for Asene Central, Kennedy Ejapon, has labeled Chief Safo Azaka a weak person who only pretends to be strong in public, reacting to a video where the NDC second national vice chairperson gathered some youth of the party to what he described as finished persons collecting data of the party's supporters in the Savannah region. The Asene Central described him as a toothless bulldog. The MP, despite labeling the Azako Boys vigilante group leaders a weakling, also admitted that he should not be underrated because his steps are carefully planned. Taking into consideration his claim, Mr. Azako threatened about the Electoral Commission and how he recently sent out to finish persons collecting data on some party supporters. Kennedy emphasized that the National Democratic Congress Deputy Vice Chairperson should be closely monitored.
And in business, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has advised business to take advantage of Ghana's hosting of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretary to become competitive. President of the chamber, Nana Dr. Appiagyei, said this on a business visit to Zonda Tech Assembly Plant in Tema. He said the AFTA Secretariat provide a bigger platform for Ghanaian businesses to thrive. Nana Dankwaso asked Ghanaian entrepreneurs to take advantage of government policies, including long-term funding for the Exim Bank, to expand their businesses. He encouraged them to add value to their produce as well as build capacity to enable Africa to move from importation to exportation through industrialization, which would lead to job creation and better livelihood for their people. He said the chamber would serve as a link between the private sector and the government to enable members to strategize and engage policymakers on how best to benefit from AFTA.
And now in health, the Ghana Health Service has released guidelines for coronavirus safety protocols ahead of the possible resumption of international air travels soon. Now, the Ghana Health Service says it is hopeful that the new guidelines will be operationalized and strictly adhered to. It also said it has identified overcrowding as one of the major factors contributing to the spread of the pandemic, hence the need for the safety measures to stem the rate of infection during the easing of COVID-19 restrictions on flight travels. And the Ghana Health Service also mentioned in the notice that because of this, the Ghana Airport Company Limited must demonstrate that it would not be in a place for the transmission of the virus. Now, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo recently hinted that the country is preparing to reopen its airports to human traffic. The president said it has instructed the Ministry of Aviation, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and the Ghana Airports Company Limited to work with the Ministry of Health and its agencies to ascertain the country's readiness to reopen the airport.
And still in health, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service has dismissed claims that government has reduced the testing and tracing activities that immensely contributed to Ghana's fight against COVID-19. Speaking at a press briefing today, Dr. Patrick Kumar Abuaji noted that a systematic process is being implemented, hence there is no way Ghana can lessen its contact tracing and testing. His comments came after some health associations and activists accused government of cutting down rigorous contact tracing and testing after it was announced that the COVID-19 pandemic is under control in the country. According to them, there is no spike in cases because the full contact tracing and testing that's used to be done with when the virus first came to the shores of Ghana has dropped shortly. However, Dr. Abuaji insists that his outfit is still on track and has been performing its mandate as required. And finally, in international story, former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has been arrested and charged with fraud over a fraudulizing campaign to build a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Well, according to the U.S. Department of Justice, Mr. Bannon and 3 others defrauded hundreds of thousands of dollars in connection with the Rebuild the Wall campaign, which raised $25 million. In fact, he further said Mr. Bannon received more than $1 million, at least, some of which he used to cover personal expenses. He is due to appear in court later. Mr. Bannon was a key architect of Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election victory. His right-wing anti-immigration ideology fueled by Trump's America First campaign.
And that's how we end the news at 6 right here on Radio Guy Online. But before we go, let's take a look at our top story. Founder of the Dankwa Institute and leading member of the ruling NPP, Gabi Asari Ochiridakun threatens MP with legal suit after Ejapa royalty expose.
And we also looked at flag bearer for the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has thrown a challenge to Ekufado's government.
And the Ghana Health Service releases guidelines for coronavirus safety protocols ahead of the possible resumption of international air travels soon.
And that's how we end the news at 6.
My name is Miriam Atrebia Kobla.
And I'm Efias Menua.
Continue enjoying the rest of our programs.